Hi, in this video I'm going to talk you through how to manage a forum and what that involves. So in a previous video when we created it, I showed you how you can update your billing, create a forum. This one's going to be more about the day-to-day management of a forum. So let's use the same forum we used last time, which was Peak District Climbing. Now if you notice, the recent forums here don't show that forum. And let's say you've forgotten the handle you used, or you need to go back to it and it's been a while and you can't find it. These recent forums only show forums you've interacted with and engaged. To find it is simple though. Click in the menu in the top right hand menu, your profile menu, click My Forums, and you can go and see all the forums which you are an owner, member, contributor, admin, forums you're following as well. So in here you can search, we find Peak District Climbing, fantastic, there we go. So off camera, I upgraded this to a silver forum so I can make the amends and show you the functionality I want to show you today. So when you are a administrator, a contributor, or an owner of a forum, you see a different banner to everyone else. So to get started, click Manage Forum. We're going to talk about creating conversations at a later date in a different video, but I'm going to talk about some other administration tasks that involve conversations shortly. So much again, you can see the exact same stuff that you had when you're creating it, the name, the slug, the path. I'd always be careful about updating slugs after they're live or paths after they're live in case people have, saved or bookmarked stuff. It will result in an error, but you can make edits that as you choose. It's your choice. You can then also update or change your profile image, update or change your banner image at any time. Now, the main thing I want to talk about here is I've made this forum private, which means only members can join this forum. And if I make it, a non-visible forum, nobody can see it unless they are invited as a member, which means fundamentally, unless people are there or they know about it or they're invited, you're not going to hear what people are saying or hear the voice of the people. So how do you then manage that? Well, you can invite people by using the manage invitations. So my co-founder is about to get a whole bunch of emails through his demonstrations. I'm going to use him. So if I use Andrew's email address, I then click the envelope button to send the email. He'll now get an invite to join Peak Climbing. There we go. He can then join. He can do everything he wants to do on that in the forum in terms of answering questions, raising his voice, telling us what the best crag is in the Peak District, etc. But let's say I've invited the wrong person. What do I do? Or, whilst it's pending or even whilst it's active, or the person no longer wants to be part, we want to remove them for whatever reason. If you click this button here, you'll see the withdraw option. Doing that will automatically withdraw the invitation. They will have no longer any access to the platform, or not to the platform, to the forum. They will be not able to see the content, and that can be done at any time. So that's how you invite members. Now, let's say you're part of a group and you want people to help run this forum. Well, that's what key members are, and you can see a breakdown of each level here. Owner is the person who's responsible for billing, which we talked about in the previous video. Administrators are able to create and approve content, and we're going to talk about approving content after this. And contributors are people who can create content but does need approved. So let's create Andrew as a contributor. There we go. I click the send button. He's been invited. And again, if I decide later down the line, I don't want him to be a contributor anymore, I click this button and I click withdraw. Now that is only owners and administrators who can do the invitation or the management of key members as well. So that's only there. Now, one caveat to mention, at this time, although it is something we are looking to work on, only people with Suffrago Suffrago accounts, not email addresses, I should say, only people with Suffrago accounts can be invited or made key members. So if they don't have a Suffrago account, if they haven't created a Suffrago account, you won't be able to invite them. That's something we're working on in the future to make it easier to do so, but as it stands, that's a restriction that exists. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and obviously, sorry, save changes down there. The last thing I want to talk about is managing and approving content created by contributors. So, this is a new forum. We don't have any content, so let's go to one that does. So again, I go to my forums, I go to owner, and let's go to in the news because I know there's some content that needs to approve there. So what I do is I go to conversations, click manage forum. You can click anywhere, you manage forum. These are all different tabs. They're now settings tabs rather than content tabs. And now let's look for situations where content needs approval. Okay, so I have 3 that need approval. To do so, I click on the edit button and I can have a look at everything that this contributor has made. I can have a look at the context. We'll go into more about detail about that in the creating a conversation video. And I can see everything that they have set up, every option that they've got, and I go, okay, cool. So if I'm happy with that, if I'm happy with everything they've done, I click approve. If I want to make changes to any of this and say, okay, actually, I'm not keen on this, I want to change the response options, I want to change the start date, I can do that and I click save and schedule. So the difference between save and schedule or save and publish if it's to go live on the same day and approve is save and schedule saves the changes that you've made, approve approves it in its current state. So that's something to be aware of. Same thing with bulletins. It's the exact same process. Click the pen icon, do that. So let's say, finally, to wrap this up, you've published a conversation that you want to close early, or you've made a mistake and something isn't there, or something isn't right. On Suffrago, you can't delete a conversation, but there is a mechanism by which you can similarly manage that. So first, well, say you can't delete conversation. If it has not gone live, if it is a draft or a scheduled post, you can delete conversation at any time. It's deleted, it's no longer there. But once it's gone live, it should always be accessible for members of the forum. Well, it will always be accessible for members of the forum. However, what you can do if you don't want it to be publicly visible is what we mentioned before. When any conversation is live, you can make amendments to, or live or closed, right? You can make amendments to the visibility, and that's it. You can't edit any of the content once conversations go live. All you can do is change the accessibility. So a good example of what I'm talking about is, let's say you inadvertently put what's meant to be a members only conversation as an open conversation or a non-members only conversation, and you've received too many responses, you want to start again, you want to essentially go, right, no, let's start again because the results are corrupted. What you would do is you would go to the conversations, click the stop button, go back into the editing settings or editing settings first and then stop, and just make it not visible, not discoverable, make it as private as possible. That's the only issue. Once you publish a conversation on Suffrago, we don't want to hide things unnecessarily or make it easy for people to obfuscate the voice of the people. We make these settings and situations for honest to God accidents rather than anything else. So that's something to be aware of. Again, only use this in major circumstances. But that's it. That's how you manage a forum on Suffrago. In the next video and other videos, have a look at what we've got, because we're talking about how to essentially make it easy to hear the voice of the people. So all these videos are designed for that, and thanks very much. I look forward to seeing what you create.